Police officers and first responders wear badges to let their communities know they are here to protect and serve. But it comes at a price. Samantha Horwitz and John Salerno work with police departments across the country to bring valuable recovery, insight resources, and workshops. A Badge of Honor TV brings those professionals to you so we can come together and revitalize communities through a better understanding of what's at stake and what's required for repair. So take a load off and turn up your TV. It's about to get real.
Hey, welcome to A Badge of Honor TV with John and Sam. On this Mental Health Monday, we are powered by the OBBM Network. You can catch us on all your favorite streaming platforms across the internet, man, because we are the real TV. We are what the news and regular radio and regular TV will not show you. We hit the hard issues that are plaguing our law enforcement each and every day. How you doing, Sam?
Hey, doing great. And speaking of hard issues, with September 11th right around the corner, you and I have made a commitment because you are a firefighter. We both have law enforcement in our backgrounds. When we talk about first responders, to bring on folks in the fire service, because we need to know across the board for every first responder family, like the true state of what is going on out there. And it's exactly what you said, John. We don't clip it. We don't edit it. We are live. And we're hearing from our guests who have been in and serving in the trenches with their brothers and sisters that can really put it out there and explain truly what's going on.
You know, Sam, I don't know if you've seen it, but I've seen an uptick. And it's because of all these messed up YouTube videos that people are doing. They're getting into these first responder faces with the cameras. Have you seen these? And they're saying, I have a right to be here, or they're degrading them. And
degrading would be an understatement.
Well, yeah, I'm trying to use the proper word.
And the hitting and the sandwich throwing.
Yeah, they're really getting, they're really interfering with the line of the work that our law enforcement's doing. But I've seen an uptick in EMS and fire now wearing bulletproof vests, because they are now becoming targets of random ambushes, or what they call, he's got a mental health problem, but he's been arrested 1,000 times and no one's done anything about it. That now our firefighters are getting ambushed, our EMS personnel are getting ambushed on these calls. And we really need to focus on, some of our politicians have to focus on this and really protect all first responders in each and every way.
Yeah. And, our guest tonight has many years of service, kind of started where I grew up back east. It is, it's an honor to have him on. He's been in the speaking circuit. If you guys know Fire Rescue One, he has a podcast over there. He writes numerous articles, and I'm so sorry, Instagram family. We are getting another message that Instagram is not feeding you our stream. We will try and continue to figure this out. So without further ado, we're going to bring Chief Marc Bashoor on to A Badge of Honor TV. Chief, thank you for being with us tonight on A Badge of Honor TV. Welcome.
Well, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it, and appreciate the opportunity to talk about all of the issues you just brought.
Absolutely. Before we get deep into it, please tell everybody watching and listening on their favorite podcast app a little bit about you and your background.
Sure. So I've been in the emergency service field for 44 years now. I started in Prince George's County, Maryland as a volunteer at the age of 16. I just told the story recently where I literally rode my bicycle up to the firehouse and handed in my paperwork on my 16th birthday, and the rest is history. Went through those ranks, was a dispatcher in a full-time position, and then hired on as a paid firefighter. through the ranks of that department there, Prince George's County Fire EMS in Maryland, to chief department for about 6.5 years. And I also spent 5 years in West Virginia as an emergency services director in Mineral County. That was an all volunteer fire system with paid EMS. And then, with also volunteer EMS. And then spent 3.5 years down in Florida, in Highlands County, Florida, as a public safety director, where they were going from an all-volunteer fire system with paid EMS to a countywide combination department. And they hired me to build that system.
Wow.
Did that. And for the last 8 years, I've been writing for FireRescue1.com and have been on that speaking circuit. I have a program called Could You Rescue You that talks about a lot of these issues, but also a lot of the just day-to-day things like wearing your seatbelts and stuff like that. So that's kind of it in a nutshell.
Yeah, me and you run in the same kind of format through our career. I started out in a volunteer fire department, rode my bicycle to the firehouse when the alarms went off, started as a junior. And people don't understand that, and especially here in Texas, Long Island, we were all volunteer. They couldn't afford paid departments. But, fire is fire, and we have to have the utmost respect for all our volunteers out there who do the job just as well, if not sometimes better, than our paid counterparts, because they really, a lot of them really have the passion. It's not just a job for them, it's a passion. So God bless every volunteer firefighter out there and EMS provider out there that really does the job each and every day for no money.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I've said for a long time, professionalism is not a paycheck. So
Correct.
Whether they're paid or volunteer, it's about being professional, about getting the job done.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Have you seen, both of you guys coming from, I feel like I'm talking, conversating with both of you right now in this, but for both of you coming from the volunteer world, and then John, you stayed volunteer, Mark, moving into the paid ranks. What would you say is the biggest difference that you see besides one is paid, one is not, volunteer versus a career?
The biggest difference is, let's face it, this is the biggest difference: cell phones and video. There's two things that are different. One is everybody has a phone and a camera. There's always a camera on. And two is the internet. When I started in 1981, I learned everything I learned through classroom environment and books on the shelf. There was no internet.
Mm-hmm.
Today, the recruits coming in have the opportunity to pick that phone up and have the world at their fingertips, paid or volunteer.
Right.
So really now the biggest difference between those two segments is the culture and economy. We were at a time back then where you could still have single wage earners in a home, and that was sustainable, so that whether it was the husband or the wife, they could go to the firehouse and get away from things because the other one was taking care of the house and taking care of the kids, and because they were home to do those things. That's very rare that you find that anymore. And then the training requirements, a lot of places, Pennsylvania is an example. Pennsylvania didn't used to have any really substantial training requirements for volunteers. So you could be the dog catcher and go join the firehouse and jump on a fire truck and ride. They have begun to change that, but they would never allow that on the paid side. So It's not every state. Every state's a little different. And the training requirements now have exponentially risen, paid and volunteer.
Yes.
So not only has the economy and the culture changed in why people volunteer, but the ability for them to get the training it's very difficult now for a volunteer to live up to the training standards that are out there. So really, I think economy, culture, and those standards are the big things that are different then and now.
Yeah, I agree. And political wise, with like Long Island, Sam, in the volunteer service, many of those are single. Many of those communities are single mayor, and they have a single board that just worries about their community. and usually the brass, the chiefs, lieutenants, make their play. They talk to the mayor one-on-one, and most of the time that mayor is on board with anything that fire department wants to do for the safety of their community. In the big cities, you have a politician who's got so many different avenues that he can't cater to one service. He can't cater to the police or fire. So a lot of times these paid departments go without the necessary equipment. You've seen it in California with the fires. So much equipment, so much manpower hours were all depleted during those wildfires, and that all came from Mayor Bass. She cut all that. It wasn't the chief, it was the mayor.
Yeah, good point. That is a great explanation. And right now, just taking a quick break, now more than ever, especially after what you guys both just said, it is important to support our first responders out there. And there's a few companies that actually put their money where their mouth is. So now is the time to support companies and organizations that share our values, because our votes simply are not enough. Patriot Mobile not only shares our beliefs, but does something about it. They are America's only Christian conservative wireless carrier, and they donate a portion of every dollar to organizations that fight for causes you care about. Switch to Patriot Mobile now and get a free month of service with the offer code BADGE. Put this up here. Again, you can go to patriotmobile.com/badge, or you can give them a call at 972-PATRIOT. Use promo code BADGE when you call. Tell them that John and Sam from A Badge of Honor sent you over there. And there's nothing better than getting a free month of service, because the way it works, you keep your phone if you like it, or you can get a new one. You keep your carrier. So Patriot Mobile works on one of the big three, right? You keep your carrier, but instead of your money going to a company that they're going to do whatever they want with your money, switch to a company that truly cares about small, rural, and big communities, but those that support veterans and first responder causes. So again, 972-PATRIOT, use our code BADGE, or patriotmobile.com/badge. But try it out for a month. If you're not happy, you can switch back. But I guarantee you, after being a customer for 12 years, you will not be sorry. So now back to the show. So Mark and John, great explanation of the difference. Mark, from the time you started, John talks about, we're talk about mental health Mondays right here. I am positive that you will have something to say about how addressing self-care, specifically making sure that your mental health is taken care of on the job. Walk us through the changes that you've seen and kind of what is still missing now.
Yeah. So when I started, and in a lot of places around the country still today, we don't talk about mental health. That's a taboo. That's a what's the term they used to hear all the time? Suck it up, buttercup. They don't think that firefighters or police officers should show their emotions. And there's a time and a place for that. When I'm dealing with, I talk about Grandma Jones and the 10 chairs, and I'll explain that here in a second. When I'm dealing with Grandma Jones, she doesn't need to see me having a mental health crisis. She needs to see me at the top of my game, because I'm not going to be able to serve her the way she needs to be served if I'm not taking care of myself on the front end or on the back end, depending on how you look at it. So back then, we didn't even talk about this. It was just suck it up, buttercup. It was what it was. Today, at least we're talking about it. I recently wrote an article on fire rescue, and actually just came out on today, the 25th of August. And it talks about the talking about mental health and cancer and all the other things that we deal with from a perspective of prevention by design. I think about, again, back then when I started, it wouldn't even be a topic that would come up. It would get brushed under the carpet or whatever. But from a prevention by design perspective, if you think about mental health and cancer and the other things that ill the public safety field, if you think about it from terms of roundabouts, when you look at roundabouts, and this is what the article kind of talks about, if you look at roundabouts, that was a traffic engineering feat that was really nothing new. Lafont, when he designed Washington, D.C., he designed squares and circles, so not something necessarily new. But when traffic lights came along, they were the glitzy eye candy that everybody said, well, we got to put traffic lights up. Well, now we're back to roundabouts. And what they have found is that the engineering prevention side of roundabouts is that traffic deaths are reduced by 80% at intersections where a roundabout is put in place as opposed to a traffic light. That's 80% less deaths. It's 70% less wrecks altogether. And if you think about us as responders, police officers, firefighters, that's 80% fewer people. I say we're killing, and I know I'm not physically killing them, but it's 80% fewer people we're killing on wrecks that we all respond to and have to deal with. From an insurance perspective, it's better for the insurance industry. You name it. If we could find the same way to engineer a roundabout for our mental health issues and for cancer, to find that roundabout engineered solution, we'd be in a better place. And we wouldn't have to, we wouldn't be having these conversations. And we just haven't found that engineered solution yet.
Mark, let me ask you a question on it. Let me tap into your brain because I think that's a great idea. Do you see the same thing I'm seeing? That roundabout is built one way, and every place that uses it builds it that way, right? Yeah. Here with mental health, with all the different departments, all the different agencies, all the different opinions, everybody wants to create something new. Everybody wants to do it their way. And we don't have a system in place that encompasses everything. Right. There's got to be, it's probably real simple to just get a generic modality out there for everybody to use and easy to follow. But everybody wants to make this so complicated because everybody wants to beat their chest and go, I cured this. That's not how mental health works. We don't have a light switch that turns on and off.
Right. Because you get to say it's my program.
Right. Exactly. Too many egos out there.
And the other part of it, I talk about personal 360s. We talk about 360s in the fire service from an operational perspective all the time of making sure we get a good visual of all the sides of the structure before we initiate attack, or at least in the initial stages. But we don't talk about it, and we don't talk about it in terms of ourselves. What 360 are we doing for ourselves? And that's our physical strength, the nutrition, our moral focus, our mental toughness. Those all feed into our mental health, and they all feed off of each other. So one of the things that I do talk about is making sure that we have that as a focus. And I call it a personal success tetrahedron. You've got to, if the mission is the base of the tetrahedron, you've got to use your physical strength and nutrition as one side, your moral focus as the other, and your mental toughness as the other. You've got to bring those three things together to be able to effectively respond to Grandma Jones. And if I can real quick, Grandma Jones represents everybody that's ever called 911 or will need 911.
We just thought it was the old lady down the block.
Yeah. Then there's the 10 chairs. The 8 chairs are the people who die in fires every day in the United States. Every 3 hours, 8 people die in a fire in the United States. The 9th chair is a firefighter or EMT who dies in the line of duty once every 3 days. And the 10th chair is a firefighter or EMT who dies at the hands of suicide once every 3 days. Our mission should be all about improving service to Grandma Jones in the 10 chairs. And if we can do that, then we're going to make a better place for us all.
Yeah. Wow. That
100%.
That's a great
kind of
easy
the choir,
yeah, That's simple. Keeping it simple.
Yeah.
Well, I think with law enforcement and fire, the KISS principle goes a long way. But Mark, with Secret Service, we train 360, and then somewhere along the way, I don't know what they're doing now, but that's a whole nother show. So I get that, and you're wearing a shirt that says discipline, and I think part of, I'll say, the new folks, whether you're looking at police, fire, EMS, dispatch, whatever the first response is, because of this and the immediacy of information, the part that you need, that discipline part, has somehow taken a back seat, because it's almost like, well, if I can't have the answer now, it's not important. If
Right.
something can't give me the answer that I'm seeking right now, it's not important. And using your brain is vital to going home every night.
Sure.
So we got to take our next quick break. I want to come back and talk about discipline and why it is one of the critical pillars in first responder life. So stay tuned, everybody. We will be right back.
Look, when you need to respond to an aggressive situation to protect yourself, your family, or your property, understanding your firearm and legal position are critical. Officers know your skills are only as good as your commitment to training. So know what you're doing. So when you're in a vulnerable situation, we can count on your response. Whether you're a beginner or a licensed gun carrier, Carry in Texas offers basic firearms training, Texas permitless carry courses, license to carry, and basic 2A courses so you can understand the responsibilities, situational awareness, and learn the technical skill required when you carry your firearm. Go to carryintexas.com to find the right course for you. Join me, former United States Secret Service agent Samantha Horwitz, on the range for beginner basics, LTC prep, and range practice. Go to carryintexas.com today. That's carryintexas.com.
Hey, welcome back to A Badge of Honor TV with John and Sam, with our special guest, 40-year veteran in the emergency service field, Marc Bashoor, right? Bashoor? Did I say it right?
Bashoor.
Sorry, Bashoor.
You know where I'm going to default to, though.
What?
I'm going to default to Bashoor sooner or later.
Bashoor, okay. That'll be much easier for me. Before we left, we were talking about the mental health throughout our country. We're talking about roundabouts, and we're talking about how we can keep it simple. But before we took the break, we were touching on the discipline aspect and the 360 that each first responder should do for themselves. Now, Sam, I don't know how it is on the federal level, but I know in the city level, once you go through your medical, they're not taking blood for the next 3 years. They're not, or 5 years. They're not checking your eating habits. They're not checking your weight or anything like that.
We were both in New York. They weren't checking eating habits.
Well, I didn't know about pilots. Pilots, every 6 months have to go for a medical, right? They have to go for a psych eval to make sure that they're competently resilient to really handle the job. And here's where we fall a lot too when we talk about discipline. The job is not taking care of its members either. They should be checking up on them. They should be saying, all right, listen, we're going to bring you in. We're not going to take your guns away. We just want to take you. We want to just do a medical eval. Why wait for that critical incident to happen before we find out that this officer is having issues from 6 critical incidents that weren't recognized before?
Yeah, that's the question mark that I think every guest has basically said, yes, we need to do that. I think part of it is, you need to be able to also raise your hand, and that's the discipline part of it. But it's also, I hate to say it this way, but going outside the box of the norm of our first responder service, because when you raise your hand, say I'm not okay, all eyes are on you. What do you mean you're not okay, right? So there's certain ways that you can handle it, but I think if you build, like Mark's shirt says, discipline into your regimen, we talk about building your wellness and resiliency toolbox. One of those key pieces is discipline. Marc, can you expand on that for us?
Sure. And I may forget it in this piece, but make sure I tell you about my personal resiliency and how discipline played a role in really helping me focus on that. You can have all the motivation in the world that you want. If you don't have the discipline to do the right thing, that motivation is just going to lay in waste. It's motivation will help you get through a workout, but if you don't have the discipline to go to the gym and walk in the front door every day or whatever your workout schedule is, that motivation's going to lay in waste. You have to have the discipline to do the right things. That's a consistency issue. We talk about, you were just talking about the physicals. Firefighters, city by city and town by town, were doing things completely differently. Some required an entry physical, some did not. Some gave annual physicals for firefighters, some did not. Some gave them to paid firefighters, but not volunteer firefighters. Like, I don't have to give volunteers a physical because they're just volunteers. I mean, it's just nonsensical. Just as much as it is for law enforcement to be nonsensical to not have a physical in the beginning, it's also nonsensical to not have that physical on an annual basis at a minimum. I like that pilots do it every 6 months. I think the reality, as we look at over 1 million firefighters in the United States, counting volunteers and paid firefighters, someone's got to pay for those physicals. Let's just be, brutally honest about it. Someone's got to pay for them. And when unions and when volunteer companies who don't have an income stream look at the cost benefit of those things, they want to get fire trucks out the door. That's, or police cars or ambulances or whatever. That's their focus, is answer Grandma Jones and the 10 chairs. To damn with everything else that has to do with mental health and all of those things, because let's just kick those people out. If they're not strong enough, let's just kick them out. Well, that's not discipline. That's hard as politics. And I hope I can say that on your program.
Yeah.
It is, that is politics, to get rid of the weak and not have a system that takes care of people. It's get rid of ones that can't handle it. So we're kind of in that mix between, I hate to talk about it in a political sense, because how it's just silly to me when we're talking about fire service and EMS. It should be apolitical, but we're kind of in between that Republican and Democratic look at how things are when you talk about feel-good stuff, right? Some people look at this discussion as it's completely a feel-good thing, and those are weak people, let's get rid of them. And other people are like, anything we can do to take care of our first responders, we need to be doing, and that's more of a progressive thing. And so I try to look past all of that, and I try to help people focus on their personal resiliency and being able to focus on doing the right thing. I tell them there's not a book on the shelf or a plaque on the wall that I can always tell you what the right thing is. You have to know it. And you know that through education, through training, through experience on the street, through seeing how the communities react to what you do. I mean, you learn what's right and what's not. It can't always be legislated to you. If it was, we'd all be robots.
Well, that's what they expect.
Yeah.
I just want to say that's what a lot of cities expect. They expect their first responders to be robots. You brought it up in the beginning. You got to keep that hard shell while you're working, and then they expect you to be that. Oh, I'll go for help after I'm off duty. That just does not work. That does not work. We can't just switch on and off that switch.
Yep.
And that's what they look at.
There is a engineering by design, back to that discussion, there is a potential solution on the fire and EMS side, that has come up in NFPA 1500. There's several numbers that it refers to, so I don't have the exact number in front of me, which one it is. 1582, I believe, are the physicals, but that standard has said that all firefighters, paid or volunteers, must have an annual physical. It's not been voted in or enacted yet. And there's a lot of people fighting it, a lot of us fighting it. And they're fighting it for two reasons. One, it's costly. Again, somebody's got to pay for the physical, and it might be $200, it might be $400. I don't, if you do a full workup physical, it's just
Right.
someone's got to pay for it. And two is, who are you to tell me, right? They put their butt up on their shoulders with I know best how to do this. Who are you to tell me I got to have a physical every year? Well, if I'm going to serve Grandma Jones in those 10 chairs, and I'm going to be able to pull that firefighter out or that police officer out or pull Grandma Jones out of the window or keep her from becoming one of the 8 chairs, I need to be on the top of my game. I need to be on the top of my game. And the best way for us to do that from a physical perspective is make sure that we have those annual physicals and that we're not just hiring you or letting you join regardless of your physical or mental condition at the time and not thinking anything of it for 30 years,
Right.
which a lot of us kind of grew up in that environment.
Yep.
Well, Mark, you have your own personal story of resilience and discipline. And after we want to take our quick break, and when we come back, let's touch on that so we can kind of bring it full circle for people to understand, because every week, we hear from folks like, oh, wow, I felt like your guest was speaking to me. So if this reaches one person or a family member of a firefighter, first responder, to say, hey, you might want to look into this. But, John and I we both enjoy a cup of coffee. So yes, coffee is good. And at East Texas Legends Coffee Company, it is founded by Ben and Amanda Holmes. It reflects their journey from Ben's Marine Corps service and law enforcement career, overcoming PTSD to finding purpose in ranching. Relocating to an East Texas ranch, they identified a need for a local coffee brand. Now they're opening their first coffee shop in Lindale, Texas. Rooted in faith, family, and community, their mission: inspire purposeful conversations over coffee. Drink coffee, be legendary. Go to ETXlegendscoffee.com. Use promo code BADGE when you check out for 15% off coffee and all merchandise. That's again, ETXlegendscoffee.com, and use promo code BADGE. I'm going to put that up on the screen right here. Don't just drink coffee. Be legendary. All right, we are back with Marc Bashoor. And Marc, we were talking about your personal discipline and resiliency story before we took a break.
Yeah, and I hope it resonates with some folks. When I was in West Virginia, I had there was a break in service in Prince George's County. I retired from Prince George's County, went to West Virginia for a job there. Well, while I was there, I had let my health and fitness deteriorate, not for any other reason than I just felt like I wasn't at the fire department anymore. I was in emergency services, kind of emergency management, and I said, I don't have to take care of myself as much. And in the fire department, I was big into running and weightlifting and doing all those things. So one day, my wife was reading the newspaper, and she had the newspaper up, and I kind of leaned over and I said, "Who's that fat ass at the front page of the newspaper?" She turns it over, looks at it, and says, "That would be you, hon." I literally did not recognize myself on the front page of the newspaper, and that bit of vanity began my story. That then transitioned in my professional life into thinking about, what, if I look at myself that way, let me turn the tables and think, if I go down as a firefighter at that weight with an extra 85 pounds of gear on top of me, or a police officer with all of their weight on top of them, if I were to go down and have to be pulled out, would my teammates be able to pull me out because of how heavy I was? So I, not only for myself, but for my team, I went along on an odyssey, and it's a long odyssey, but basically I got to the point in 2023 where I was competing in my age class in fitness, magazine kind of things. Came in third in my age class, which is just under 60. So I felt pretty stinking good about that. Then in 2024, and before I get to 2024, it was a combination of physical fitness, a combination of eating better, not so much eating pure. I'm not a purist in eating. It's a lot more about strategic eating less sugar, eating more water and less carbonation. But I hate salad, and you're not going to find me eating a bunch of green stuff. So, I'm not perfect. All right.
But stay away from the Twinkies.
Yes, 100%. Every donut is 250 calories. Remember, calories in, calories out.
Listen,
they don't
as
go
a
out.
cop, I have to eat it. It's by law. It's a law. We have to eat them.
But not every day.
You're required to bring up donut at least once on the show, right?
At least once. At least once.
So in 2024, 2:00 in the morning, I was awakened by a stabbing pain in my back. I didn't know what it was. Long story short, it took 3 different doctors. The first doctor came out and said, "Mr. Bashoor, we found a mass on your lung." So, my entire world kind of came down at that point. And the next day, couldn't breathe again. Different ER. Kind of a shrug of the shoulders going, they did everything I would have done yesterday. Third day, couldn't breathe again. Go to a third ER, a different ER. And that doctor came out and said, "Did any of those people tell you you had a collapsed lung?" Long story short, I had a pneumonia in my center lobe of my lung that exploded. That was what woke me up out of bed at 2 a.m. That stabbing pain, it perforated my entire lung, my right lung, to where everything they were trying to do once they put me in the hospital, which was right away, everything they were trying to do didn't work. What's normally a 2 to 3 day stay in the hospital, I was in for 33 days. I lost 25 pounds in the hospital. I lost all of the gains where in 2023, I was competing. Well, by 2024 in May, I would have been competing for, let's face it, I would have been competing for who looks the sickest contest. I looked sick. I was down to 126 pounds. The 15th day in the hospital, the internist came in and he's just shaking his head as he's walking in. And I said, "What's wrong, doc?" He said, "You shouldn't be here." And of course I said, "Well, okay, send me home. I'm happy to go home at this point after 15 days. He said, No. He said, "Most people that have happened to them what happened to you wouldn't be here today. Because you were in as good a shape as you were in, your body was able to compensate. So had I not started with my wife reading that newspaper 17 years ago, 18 years ago, to the point of thinking about my teammates, to the point of taking the personal discipline and responsibility to eat better, to get in the gym, to be out there every day, to not only for myself, but for my family and my team, I wouldn't be here today." Wow. The doctor confirmed that. So I took that as a challenge from him. Got all of the right things through my insurance to nutritionally bring myself back to where I needed to be. And by August, so 6 months later, I was back to the competition level, if you will. I'm not going to compete anymore. I've had enough of that. But I'm in the gym 6 days a week. I try to be that picture of discipline for all of our firefighters and our first responders. Try to both morally, mentally, and nutritionally, or from a physical fitness perspective, I try to be that picture of discipline for them. I used the example in the beginning. You can have all the motivation in the world to work out. If you don't have the discipline to walk in that door every day, you'll never get anything done.
Wow.
But what I know with the collapsed lung, that made you switch your mindset. What can we tell our first responders now? I mean, this story should resonate with everybody. It should. And God bless and thank God you're here. But many need that discipline, need to say, even the younger ones, because they think it's not going to happen to me. You know what? I'm invincible. What could you say to these young men and women out there and just say, you need to start now?
Yeah. So first is stop thinking about just yourself. Think about your family and think about your team, the people that are going to have to pull you out. not if you go down, when you go down. Think of it about when you go down. You're not invincible. None of us are. And we should all, if we're not practicing in the fire department, if we're not practicing Mayday kind of procedures and actually dragging firefighters out in our exercise and our training, then we're doing a disservice. So we need to, number one, stop thinking about just ourselves. And number two, take life seriously. We talked a little earlier about the way people are learning and whatever today with these phones versus before. Real quick, in 2015, Microsoft did a study. Everybody that has had the internet, which is anybody born 1993. If you were born 1993 or later, you've had the internet your entire life, right? I graduated high school before the internet was available commercially, right? I presume, John, you did as well. Sam,
I was born
you
before
probably did.
electricity.
You're too young, Sam.
We didn't have the internet, no smartphones
Yeah.
in Secret Service. Yeah, when I was there.
But that's the difference. And today, those people learn, according to the Microsoft study, they learn in 8-second bursts. So if it doesn't hook them in 8 seconds, they're on to something else. If it hooks them, whatever the topic is, if it hooks them, they'll spend another 30 seconds looking at it. And if you haven't convinced them in those 30 seconds, they're on to something else. So you basically have 8 seconds to hook somebody with this kind of information, whether it's mental health or the moral focus or all of those pieces. You have 8 seconds to hook them, 30 seconds to keep them. And from an instructional perspective, you need to be prepared to move on to something else because they are moving on. If we don't find a way as instructors and as chiefs to start talking the talk, not only talking the talk, but talking the language that our students are listening to or are learning by, then we're going to lose them. And it doesn't mean that we all have to convert to 8-second learning, but we have to know how to deal with it. We have to learn how to deal with it and find ways.
How do you do that? How do you do that in a classroom environment? It can't be easy.
It's not easy. It's not easy. But, I think sometimes we vilify, and I do it. I vilify the phone. I vilify it. And I think sometimes we need to not necessarily vilify the phone, but preach the message of discipline of learning and not discipline of the next game on the phone or the next 8 seconds. Yeah. Discipline doesn't come in 8-second bursts. Discipline is a lifetime of challenge. And I use that gym experience. A lady that follows me on Facebook put on, I do regular gym posts on my Facebook account, and she put on there, okay, and this was her word. She says, Mrs. Fat Ass is going to the gym, going to try to get back into shape. Hope I have the motivation to continue. And I responded to her positively, and I said, look, having the motivation's great. Motivation will get you through the workout. Discipline will get you in the front door. You've got to have that discipline to get in the front door of whatever the issue is. Or again, that motivation is just going to lie in with.
Well, this is perfect timing because we're talking about health and wellness here. We got to take our last break and hear from a company that John and I use frequent. So stay tuned, everybody. We will be right back.
Rise and vibe with your new elevated morning ritual. Meet Rise by Frequence. Frequency charged nutrition. Rise is formulated with a blend of 7 different organic mushrooms, B vitamins, amino acids, and green coffee bean extract. Rise supports brain health, performance, and focus while enhancing mood, mental clarity, and energy. Enjoy the delicious mango lemonade flavor while giving your mind the nutrients it needs. Get charged up with Rise. Fuel your body and mind today.
So you hear it every week, Rise and Vibe with me and John. Hey, it is Mental Health Monday, and we pause to acknowledge the importance of your well-being. When your mind is in tune, everything in life plays more harmoniously. And at Frequence and here at A Badge of Honor TV, we believe that supporting your brain health starts with everyday choices. That's why Frequence created Rise. It's a blend thoughtfully designed to support clarity, mood, and calm energy without the crash because it has no sugar. It is keto friendly, so it doesn't take you on that roller coaster ride. So wherever you are on your mental wellness journey and your fitness journey, We're here for it. We are here for you. So is Frequence. You can get sign up right now. And let me put the banner up here at badgeofhonorhealth.com. Grab the products. You can grab single, or we have packages that you can put together. Subscribe and save now. But folks, this is a game changer when we're talking about energy drinks. Ditch the sugar. This will not cause you to crash, whether you want to work it, use it pre-workout, post-workout, hit it a couple times throughout your day. You will not experience a crash that you will with those other energy drinks, one that starts with an M that's really popular in the first responder. I'm not going to say their name. A badgeofhonorhealth.com, a badgeofhonorhealth.com. And now back to the show with Marc Bashoor. You know, Marc, you have a podcast that you do at Fire Rescue One. So that's firerescue1.com, correct?
Right, firerescue1.com. And the podcast that I was doing has transitioned over to Aaron Zamzow.
Okay.
So Aaron does, it's called Better Every Shift. So it's a really good look at a lot of these issues. I'm actually going to be a guest tomorrow evening on his, but Better Every Shift is the name of the podcast. So, and it is firerescue1.com.
Okay, and you write articles. The one that was just released tonight is great. It can really help. As I was reading through it, it can really help not only set the tone for, hey, you know, I'm a chief or a lieutenant, whatever my rank is. We need to create something in this house, whatever the house looks like. And whether it inspires you to reach out to Marc directly or get with, you know, peer support, even I'm going to say it, your other brothers and sisters that wear a different uniform, your police department, they may have an established wellness program. And all you need to do is tweak it, because it's not about reinventing the wheel in every single city, in every single house. It's about taking the best of what is out there, putting it into a program that will benefit you as the chief, as a leadership core, but also your troopers and firefighters under you. And then you create a great atmosphere. Marc, you are the expert. Where can people find you? Where do you play on social media? What are your handles?
Yeah, so I'm on mostly Facebook. So Facebook, I'm kind of a Facebook junkie, if you will, with respect to posting. I'm on there all the time. I try to stay positive in all of my postings. I do not do political postings. I don't do. Some people will say, "Well, Fire Rescue One was left leaning on this call and it was right leaning on this call." Fire service is apolitical. It should be apolitical. I understand that it isn't always, but it should be. And we try to, not only in that news, but in my personal life, present as much of what's common and what's down the center, if you will, of what's right. Because again, doing the right thing isn't about being a Republican or a Democrat. It's about doing the right thing. You know, Grandma Jones has never called 911 and asked for the Republican firefighters. So for Democratic EMTs, you know, so that should not be entering into what we're doing. But they can reach me. Facebook's the easiest way. I'm also out there on Instagram and LinkedIn, of course. When you ask me what are my handles, hell, Marc Bashoor. That's the.
There you go.
I can tell you on that.
Short, sweet, and to the point.
There, and if they send me a message, I'll be happy to have conversation. Also, my website is www.couldYouRescueYou.com.
CouldYouRescueYou.com. And for those of you listening on your favorite podcast app, Marc spells his name M-A-R-C, and it's Bashoor, B as in Bravo, A-S-H-O-O-R. So you can look him up. We connected on
formerly of Bayshore.
Not that. Now you just confuse the podcast folks, John. It is not Bayshore. It is not Baywatch. It is Bashoor.
Baywatch. That will hold them. Marc, that will hold their attention.
Marc Baywatch Bashoor. There you go.
All right, there you
You
go.
have a
All
new
right.
nickname, Mark.
Okay.
Sorry. You
Oh,
heard it
you have
first on the Badge of
you
Honor
have no
TV.
idea how that's going to affect me.
Well, hey, I mean, you are the fitness guy, so you kind of fit in there. Yeah. Very cool. Well, thank you so much for coming on tonight, for
Absolutely.
really talking and explaining the way that the health of our fire service out there. And just like police work, there's so much more to do, but know that you don't have to do it alone. You don't have to create programs by yourself. You got folks like Mark, 44 years. Hello, folks. I think we can consider him a subject matter expert. And so reach out to Mark, get in touch. And Mark, please continue doing what you're doing, putting the good word out there, all the fitness and inspiration for people on your Facebook page. And guys, if you're not on firerescue1.com, go there, read Mark's articles. You put your articles out everywhere. Whether you get them on LinkedIn as well. But they are important reads to further take a deep dive. And, give yourself your own quiz. Am I disciplined?
One last thing from me.
Yeah.
One last thing from me. You've heard that if you see something, say something. I ask people to take it one step further. If you see something, or you see somebody in need, you see somebody struggling, do something. Don't just say something.
Love that.
Do something about it.
Love that. Yep.
On that note, thank you so much, Mark,
Thank you, Mark,
for being an inspiration, and keep at it. Really appreciate you. All right.
Appreciate it.
See you soon.
All right. Take care.
All right. Yeah, just a role model in so many different avenues there. And go. Mark said he'll communicate with you. You can send him a DM or connect with him on Facebook, a message. I just have to apologize. There's nobody on Instagram to apologize because the video is not there. So you're not even watching us on Instagram. But since Instagram is owned by Facebook, if you happen to come over to Facebook to continue to watch the show, we apologize to our Instagram family once again. A way that I think everybody can help, okay, is if after the show is over, go over to Instagram, where our handle is a badge of honor, and click follow, because they're doing some weird stuff with the algorithm. Unless you have 1,000 followers, sometimes they'll show the video, sometimes they won't. This is considered live. So go over there. Please hit follow on Instagram so we can get this thing figured out. Wherever you are watching us tonight, thank you for tuning in once again. Please hit that like and subscribe button. And if you happen to be on our website, you'll see a little blue donate button. When you hit that, whether it's $1 or whatever you can give, just know that that money goes directly back into our programming for our first responders. And speaking of programming, we are doing a lot of private workshops coming up here. And if you listen to this show or any of our shows, we talk about you have the opportunity to bring our team to you directly. And what that looks like is an 8-hour interactive workshop in your department. So reach out to us through our website. Again, that website is abadgeofhonor.org. You'll see the contact right up on the top. Fill it out, or better yet, give us a call. Our phone number is there as well. You will also find our calendar there. And we don't put the private events, the private workshops up there for obvious reason. But you will see where we're going to be. So we've got 9/11 coming up right around the corner. If you are in and around the Dallas area, we got the 9/11 stair climb in Dallas at the Comerica Bank building. And that is on Saturday, September 6th. Now, you can't climb. It's reserved for first responders, for firefighters only. And that ship has sailed. It is closed. But what you can do is come on down for the after party to say thank you to all of your firefighters and the first responders that came out. You'll meet us, team of Badge of Honor. And we are just so grateful to all of the Dallas 911 Stair Climb staff for choosing us as this year's beneficiary. Again, that money goes right back into our programming. So thank you
Sam,
so
can I
much.
just reiterate on that too? If you are an active first responder and you did not make the cut, or you want to climb, but you didn't make they closed it out before you were able to sign up, Fort Worth on September 13th is also still open, still currently accepting climbers for the Fort Worth climb. So if you want to climb, you want to support, you want to be part of it, you can always go to the Fort Worth climb as well.
And you can find that on the Fort Worth climb on Facebook. Also at Fort Worth, our one and only John here is going to be the MC. So you get to meet him out there. And that's on September 13th in Fort Worth. So go ahead and register for that. On September 11th, Carry the Load. Have to really talk about this for a moment. We are nonprofit partners with Carry the Load. This organization does not leave anybody behind. Okay. They are carrying the load year round, no matter what memorial we're commemorating. So from Memorial Day to Patriots Day, September 11th and beyond, Carry the Load has been there from the beginning. On September 11th, you can register to wherever you are watching this in the nation to meet the staff out at a designated veteran cemetery. And you're going to be cleaning headstones as a way to give back and remember. And because if you read their names on each headstone, whatever line you're assigned to, they will never be forgotten. Okay. If you want more information, you can go to our website at badgeofhonor.org, scroll down, you see the Carry the Load logo, click on that, and you will find out all the activities nationwide. This is a nationwide event that's Carry the Load, Carry the Load is doing for Patriots Day, September 11th. So please support and head on out to one of the local designated cemeteries. We talked about a lot tonight. I think the overall message is we want you to go home every night. And for all of the first responders out there, thank you for what you do every single day. You have huge prayer warriors out there for you. So thank you. For all the veterans out there, thank you for putting up and standing strong for the good fight that allows John and I to do a show like this every week. For all of our active duty personnel spread out across the globe, thank you for what you do, keeping us safe, our shores here at home. John, take us home.
Once again, to all our first responders across the nation, do not let these idiots on YouTube get you. Walk away. Don't be baited by them. Don't be pulled into their rhetoric. I know it's tough, man, but stay strong. We're going to do everything we can do to fight against this and stop this from happening for you. But keep the good fight going. Peace.
Till next week, everybody.
A Badge of Honor podcast is produced for the OBBM Network podcast and protected under copyright law. For content permissions, please submit your request to abadgeofhonor.com on the content page. For OBBM Network programming information, please call 214-714-0495 today.